All right, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth, 100% securely. And I'd like to give a salutation to the men out there, out on highways and byways, teaching this truth to the flock of Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shah. And I'd also like to give a salutation to the Akim and Aqua who are listening and studying to sort ourselves approved. All right. So this is just another quick lesson, and this is basically a response to the brother Amakia Allah, Salakia, the elder brother Amakia Allah. Salakia, if I said his name wrong, but I believe that's his name. And his page is GMSKC Prophet 3. All right, and the title of that, it says the talk of the world is now the Hebrew. Salakia, now the Hebrew Israelites and persecution will follow, right? And so he had a very sincere question that I wanted to address, and I wanted to answer that question in this lesson, all right? And so kind of putting in summary, there's a lot of people that are going up against the Hebrew Israelites, and there's a lot of people renouncing why they don't no longer associate themselves with the Hebrew Israelites and so on and so forth. And it just remind me of what Elder Apostle Gabar said a long time ago. He said that you need to count the cost when you're in this ministry. And that's exactly what these people haven't done. They have not counted the cost. Okay, they basically just join this thing for a fad. You know, like my Ak Yasharala say all the time, it's a trending. Okay, but now that they're seeing things are getting real, they want to backtrack. Okay, showing you that we're going into the parable of Yahweh Shai. Where he says the parable of the seed. Okay, some seed fell by the wayside, some fell through thorny bush, and it got choked. Okay, and that's pretty much what's being shown, especially for those individuals that renounce themselves as a Hebrew Israelite. You can't renounce your identity. Okay, yeah, of course they want to hold on to what Esau Edom call you. That's mainly what it boils down to. Okay, because they have that fear of these damn devils in America. Okay, and the scriptures clearly tell you that the don't fear man, but rather fear Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. Loosely paraphrasing. There's several scriptures we can go into. There's one in Matthew 10 and 28. Okay, even King David even had made his point of view in the book of Psalms as well too, addressing that he feared Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah rather than man. All right, and so these people right here, these non-believers, okay, they are projecting and they're basically helping Esau Edom, okay, the so-called white man, to persecute us and to weed us out, all right? And all it does is it's going to increase our faith in the end, okay? You can do nothing against the truth before the truth, all right? Every time they came out addressing the Hebrew Israelites, the so-called black is not the descendants of the 12 tribes, the Hebrew Israelites, or so on and so forth. All it did is just add on to the word. All right, all it did is basically increase the word, because Yahweh Yahshua said these things were going to happen. Okay, in the last days, scoffers shall come. Okay, loosely paraphrasing the book of Peter, 2 Peter, I believe it's the 3rd chapter or the 2nd chapter, one of the two. Okay. And hey, these scriptures is living, okay? So you can do nothing against the truth before the truth, all right? So, the elder brother was addressing these people, and he was saying, like, all it really is that they don't want to be held accountable, okay? They want to have an excuse to be wicked, okay? They want to have an excuse to be a friend of the world, okay? And guess what? You can't say that you haven't heard this truth, okay? Yahweh Shai said, if I have not come, then they will have no cloak for their sin, but I have came. So now there's no more cloak for their sin. So now it ain't going to be no excuse, okay? The warnings went out, all right? And now you're going to face that judgment when Yahweh Shai come back, okay? So without further ado, let's get into this last matter of fact, before I do that, let's read this quick quick precept real quick. Which one is this? I'm gonna come back to that one. See, where did I put it at? So like you bear with me for a minute. Okay, this the book of Matthew, right? Matthew chapter 24 and verse 9. Okay. Matthew 24 and verse 9, it says, Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Okay, notice how it says, you shall be hated of all nations. Okay, when you go into the meaning of nation, quick Google search for nation, it says a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, and language, inhabiting a particular country or territory. Okay, and so no, when it says all nations, that goes into the Edomites, Moabites, okay, even our own people, the nation of Israel, those who refuse to follow the laws and statutes and commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, even though they honor them with their lips, okay, they say that I love so-called Jesus Christ, well, we know that's not his name. His name is Yahweh Shai. Okay, they honor him with their lip, but in their heart they're far from him. All right, and these are the people that's gonna come up against us. These are the ones that gonna deliver us up to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay, all right. Reading that again, it said, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." Okay, we're being hated, we're being persecuted for the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash. We're being hated for the namesake of Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai. All right. Hey, we sign up for this. We know what to expect. Okay. It's no different from when you fill out a job interview and you look at the job description, and this is what you're gonna have to do at X, Y, and Z. Okay. You know what you signed up for. It's the same thing for the truth. Okay. And a lot of these people, they renounce the Hebrew Israelite, but you can't. All right. When you take your hand off the plow, what Yahweh Shem Yahushai say? You're not fit for the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So therefore, you're going to be destroyed. Okay. So when he bring forth his kingdom, you're not going to be in it. Okay. Verse 10, and it says, "And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." Okay. So you go quick precepts on these many being offended. Let's get Ecclesiastica, aka Sirach, chapter 18. And we'll start at verse 7. It says, "A wise man will fear in everything, and in the day of sinning he will beware of offense. But a fool would not observe time." Right there when it says, "But a fool would not observe time." Okay? And so all of these people that renounce, just saying that they no longer the Hebrew Israelite, they a fool. Okay? They're not observing the time. Somehow their focus is on casting persecution on Hebrew Israelites, saying that we're idol self idolatry, all of these things. But somehow when they're not observing the time, they're not realizing that the prophecy is being fulfilled while they're so busy trying to persecute us, make us look like the scum of the earth. Okay? In verse 28, and it says, "Every man of understanding knoweth wisdom, and will give praise unto him that found her." Okay? That wisdom that found, that give praise, all right? Give praise, which is this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is compared to a woman. All right? This wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures is compared to a woman. That's why it says, "Every man of understanding knoweth wisdom, and will give praise unto him that found her." Okay? They that were of understanding and saying became also wise themselves, and poured forth exquisite parables. So like, let me make sure I say that right. Exquisite, Salakia. Exquisite parables. Okay. And verse 30, and it said, "Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thy appetite." Okay. And so that's pretty much what the people of the world is doing. Okay. They cannot resist their appetite, their lust. Okay. The lust of the things in the world, the lust of the eye, the pride of life. All right. You know, loosely paraphrasing, there's a precept that goes into that. Okay. Matter of fact, let me see if it'll pop up in here. Yeah, it's a quick precept where it said the lust of the eye, the pride of life, loosely paraphrasing. But Lord willing, somebody put that in group chat. Okay. All right, so but yeah, that's exactly why these people are saying they want to renounce being a Hebrew Israelite. They want to come up against this truth, this 100% truth, okay? And because they don't want to be held accountable, okay? Now let's go into this video, this lesson, going into what the brother was saying. He had a sincere question, all right? So without further ado, wasn't dealing with you anyway, but this is the stance. And ultimately, like I said, Jake wants an excuse, ultimately, to live the way they want to live. Because let's be honest with you, I got a serious, sincere question. Is it easier to live by the ways of America, or is it easier to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? All right, you hear that? Right there. What he said, is it easier to live in the ways of America, or is it easier to live by the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? And we can answer that through scripture, okay? Let's listen to it again. Various purpose, and before you know it, you get disenchanted, which the spirit wasn't dealing with you anyway, but this is the stance. And ultimately, like I said, Jake wants an excuse, ultimately, to live the way they want to live. Because let's be honest with you, I got a serious, sincere question. Is it easier to live by the ways of America, or is it easier to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? Right. And so is it easier to live by the ways of America, or is it easier to live by the laws and statute commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? Okay? And the answer to that question, it's easier to live by the laws and statute commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. As a matter of fact, it's very comforting to live by the laws and statute commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? But when you try to live in the ways of America, all right, get a quick precept, it become burden, okay? Matter of fact, the ways of America is unrighteous, all right? It's wicked, okay? So this is Proverbs 29:2, and it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn, all right? When you go to that word mourn, get a quick Google definition. Let's pull it up in this one real quick. Let's see what that quick Google definition says in Proverbs 29:2. Okay, it says when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Okay, and it says feel or show deep sorrow or regret for someone or their death, typically by following convictions such as wearing of black clothes. Said feel regret or sadness about yeah, so you pretty much get the point right there. So that's a feeling of dread of trying to live according to America, aka Babylon the Great standard. Okay? And so that's why it's a lot more harder in America. This is why you got a lot of people that's out here complaining whether they can't keep up with the rent. Okay? They complain on not being able to pay bills. Okay? They complain about the ways of America. They complain about the laws the laws of America. Okay? How people are being treated here in America, the terror, all of these things that's going on in America right now, the terror, okay, the things that the Trump is doing, okay. So yeah, so the answer to that question, yeah, it's harder to live in America as opposed to following the laws and statute commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. So there's that. Matter of fact, let's get one more precept on that. Was it 1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1? It could be 2 Timothy. Let me see. So like it's 2 Timothy. Let's get it. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. All right, right here, and it says, know this also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. Okay, knowing that because of America, the way things are in America, it's the last days and it's perilous. Okay, so the point I wanted to get is the definition of perilous, and it says full of danger or risk, exposed to enemy risk or disaster or ruin. All right, and that's pretty much that's just what we're dealing with, trying to live to the laws and standards of America. Okay, it's very perilous, it's very risky. All right, so that's not easy to try to live to the standards. Okay, it's so many things that we can go into based on trying to live and adhere to the standards of America, aka Babylon the Great, man. Okay, so to answer that brother's question, it's a lot harder to try to live to the standard, but it's much more easier to live by the laws and statute commandment of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, man. So let's get 1 John, okay? So like, hold on, bear with me. I'm looking for it. Let's pull it up. So 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3, okay? Because it said, for this is the love of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Okay? That we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Okay? And we're going to the definition of grievous. It says of something bad, very severe, or serious. Okay? He says his commandments are not grievous. Okay? Meaning that it's not hard. It's not hard to keep the commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. It's a lot harder to keep up with the standards of America, aka Babylon the Great. It really is. If you really think about you doing a comparison, it's a lot harder. Okay? So getting a couple of more precepts on this. So this 2 John chapter 1, the point being verse 6, but we'll read up a little bit to verse 4. All right, 2 John chapter 1 and verse 4, and it says, I rejoice greatly that I found of thy children walking in truth, as we have received a commandment from the Father, Yahweh. Verse 5, and it says, and now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk after his commandment. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it. All right, verse 7, it says, for many deceivers are entered into the world. Okay, so now you're going to have a lot of people, because we renounce the wisdom, renounce the wisdom of this world, Salakia. Okay, now they want to attack us. Now they want to lie on the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, you know, calling us a hate group and so on and so forth. You know, all of these things, they're going to slander us. Okay, and it says, for many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Yahweh Shah Hamashiach is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. Look to yourself that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. All right. And it says, whosoever transgressed and abide not in the doctrine of Hamashiach has not Yahweh the Father, okay, have not power. He that abideth in the doctrine of Hamashiach, he has both the Father Yahweh and the Son Yahweh Shai. Okay? And so that's pretty much the point. We relying on Yahweh while Yahweh Shai, okay, which bring us great comfort in this wicked kingdom. Okay? Because otherwise, you know, call all y'all about Yahweh Shai, especially for me, without me being into the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, I can honestly, I think about this daily quite often. I've been thinking about this here recently, is that I don't know where I would be if I didn't get into this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. As a matter of fact, if I was still in the world, going into That just made me think of another precept in Micah 2:10. What we bring these scriptures out all the time. If I was in the world, I would be destroyed with a you know, with a sword of destruction, as the scripture said. Micah 2:10, it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest." Okay? Here it is. If I would have been trying to live to the standards of America, aka Babylon the Great, I would literally destroy myself. Okay? I would literally destroy myself trying to take on the standards of America, man. Yeah, like just really think about it. Like some of the things that we done in the world, and you look back on it, and you be like, man, that was pointless. I gained nothing out of that for doing some of these wicked things of the world. You literally gain nothing. It becomes a vain thing trying to hold on to America, aka Babylon the Great. I mean, the Heavenly Father said He's gonna destroy this place. So why try to hold on to this? All right. So yeah, man. So there's the Micah 2:10. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword of destruction." Okay. So, I just wanted to answer that brother's question, man, and add to it. Okay, which is a very, very good and sincere question, man. So which one is the truth? Okay, which one is easier? Following the laws and statute commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, or trying to hold on to the standard of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua? And then we can answer that, man. And it's a lot more easier. It's not a burden trying to keep the commandments of Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, man. Let me see. Even in John 14 and 15, because it said, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Okay? John 14 and 21. He that have my commandment and keepeth them, it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. Okay? And that's beautiful right there, because he said, "I will love him and will manifest myself to him." And literally, you have when you start to dig into the scriptures, you start to see, and you're imagining when you start to see things like, oh man, Yahweh Shah just said, like when you see something happen when you're driving around, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shah is manifesting himself, especially to the true believer. When you driving around and be like, oh man, Yahweh Shah did say that was gonna happen. Like when I literally be out and about and I see, a Edomite out on the corner begging for bread. Okay, hey, Yahweh Shah said they ain't the people anyway. Okay, well, while Jake in a struggling society, even though you got some 2/3, they still doing better than the Edomites. All right, and King David even said it in Psalm 37 and 25. He said, "I have been young and now I am old, and I have not seen the righteous, begging for bread." Luke paraphrasing. Okay, he's manifesting that to this very day. You can see it if you're paying attention. Certain things, certain scriptures where the Lord is manifesting, and it's been made out on the forefront. That's only the true believers is really going to see that. Okay. Proverbs 8 and 17, it said, "I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me." All right. So, but the point would be in 1 John 5 and 3, because when he asked that question, I immediately thought of 1 John 5 and 3, right? Because it said, "For this is the love of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous," man. Okay? And so that pretty much, Lord willing, that answered that brother's question. Anybody else that, might want to piggyback off of, because I think it was a very beautiful and sincere question, man. Which one is better, trying to hold on to the standards of America, aka Babylon the Great, or keeping the laws and statute commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua? Which one is going to bring you comfort? Okay? This word is what brings you comfort. All right? As Isaiah 33 and 6, "Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time." Strength and salvation, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Okay, Luke the paraphrasing. All right, so that's pretty much the point, man. So I'm gonna play that brother's question again. And Lord willing, it should be edifying. All right. And with that, let me give all praise and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth 100% securely. Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yashavala, Shalom.
Wasn't dealing with you anyway, but this is the stance. And ultimately, like I said, Jake wants an excuse ultimately to live the way they want to live, because let's be honest with you. I got a serious, sincere question. Is it easier to live by the ways of America, or is it easier to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? Because America has over 10-some thousand laws you have to follow every day. But the thing about with America's laws, you can be wicked. With the Lord, you have roughly 613, actually more than that. And a lot of them, well, some of them you can't really keep to its totality, but even within that, there's grace. You see, there's grace within that. So the Lord gives us liberty within the law.